Ukraine will sue Poland, Hungary and Slovakia over agricultural bans.
Here's a summary of the article.
Kyiv will sue Poland, Hungary and Slovakia over their refusal to drop a ban on Ukrainian agricultural products, Ukraine's trade representative Taras Kachka told POLITICO's Brussels Playbook in an exclusive interview. The three countries have rebelled against the European Commission, which last Friday decided to allow Ukrainian grain sales across the EU. Poland, Hungary and Slovakia said they would impose their own bans on Ukrainian grain following the Commission's decision to end its restrictions. In our eyes, these measures of Hungary and Poland is a statement of total distrust to the European Commission, Ukraine's trade chief said. Kachka argued that the open defiance against Brussels by Poland, Hungary and Slovakia was not just an internal matter for the EU, but raised what he called the biggest systemic concern: whether international trade partners can trust that Brussels speaks for the EU. For many years, it's been the European Commission who is the trade negotiator and trade policy institution for the whole EU. And we used to work on this basis, Kachka said, adding, the systemic approach of Budapest and Warsaw of ignoring the position of the EU institutions in trade policy, I think that will be a problem for the EU in general, because there is no unity there. Kyiv plans to sue the countries at the World Trade Organization rather than via its own trade accord with the EU. I think that all the world should see how member states in the EU behave towards trade partners and their own union, because it can influence other states as well. While Slovakia simply extended the EU's previous ban on 4 types of grain, Poland imposed additional bans on Ukrainian flour and feed over the weekend. While Hungary's additional bans are mostly symbolic, given that Ukraine does not export much beef or pork to the country, Poland's measures will affect a significant part of Ukraine's exports, Kachka said.
This post received a score of 3,800, with an upvote ratio of 92%. Here are the top comments in response to this article.
From Romania here, we have the same issue, but I agree with our neighbors. It's not their problem. Our corrupt authorities which guarantee we don't buy Ukrainian grain for production are lying through their teeth, and manufacturers are mixing Ukrainian harvests with our own.
Which neighbors do you agree with? Romania borders both Ukraine and Hungary.
You can't tell from my conclusion which neighbors I agree with.
No, not really.
Context: Poland agreed for the transfer of low-quality, cheap Ukrainian grain through its territory to help with the export to Africa. This grain mysteriously disappears on the way through Poland and mysteriously appears on store shelves. Polish farmers cannot compete because they are held to EU standards, while Ukrainian farmers are not, and use cheap pesticide illegal in the EU. Ukrainians prefer to quietly sell it in Poland because they can earn much more that way than by selling it to African countries. Ukrainian grain will still be able to pass through Poland, but selling it on Polish territory will be forbidden.
It's definitely not the farmers selling it in Poland.
Grain is like any other tangible commodity. There's a lot of middlemen between the agricultural fields and people's dinner plate. By the time grain is bought in bulk in Poland, to be cleaned, packaged, and distributed, it's already changed hands 4x.
I used to work in the flour industry, a major flour transportation company in Ireland. I remember when this whole war started, a lot of the staff thought our deliveries would be affected. It turned out Ukrainian grain was notoriously low quality and they tend to ship out to poorer countries. A lot of the richer nations don't use Ukrainian grain.
Country built and filled with corruption exporting low-quality products? Surprise Pikachu.
I mean, Brazil export great products lol. If anything, the shit ones are kept here. Lol, my wife is from Brazil and she tells me that. We're going this Christmas and evidently you can still get pretty good local steaks there? Not Ukraine. Just Akhmatov, Ukrainian grain oligarch. And yeah, big fuck you to oligarchs, those criminals and leeches of nation.
Ukraine's trade representative, Taras Kachka, say they're planning to sue Poland, Hungary, and Slovakia. It's important to know these actions are legally wrong, and that's why we will start legal proceedings.
If the Ukrainian grain is not up to EU standards with the pesticides and thus cheaper, I don't see how they can be allowed to be sold.
The Lion, the Witch and the Audacity of this bitch.
This video was automatically created by Reddit to speech. The article and comments in this video were selected from Reddit according to their upvotes, and any paraphrasing was performed by smmry.com, without any human intervention.